Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Serious Film Critics. My name is Sam.
And I'm David.
And we're back from outer space after a little bit of a break. So,
yeah,
good to have you back, Dave.
Good to have you back. It's been a little while, but we've been up to some good stuff. So
we've definitely been up to some good stuff. So, anything going on in your life?
Not too much. I know you've been doing some acting stuff. So
yeah, I'm starting up. I'm in this Christmas show at the theater I work at. We had a read through today, so that was something. Other than that, just chilling, man. You finally got to come up and see my apartment with some of the boys.
Yeah, that was an experience.
Oh, it was indeed. So, but other than that, yeah, just living the life. We got a good episode, everybody. This is episode 17, I believe.
That sounds right. We'll go with that.
Yeah, let's go with 17. We are going to be talking about Blade Runner 2049, the huge movie that was just released last weekend, and we're going to also be talking about the new Star Wars Last Jedi trailer, so some huge stuff there, just huge, and we're also going to be getting a little scandalous, too, talking about this Harvey Weinstein stuff, so it's going to be a good episode, so I guess we could just, screw everything and jump on into it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. We can jump straight into the Star Wars trailer.
Yeah, so I guess before then they had just released a really brief teaser that didn't really show much of anything. And then I guess it was during the Monday Night Football game, they over this last week they released a more full-length trailer. And man, what a game Vikings and Bears. What a game to pick for that, man.
Who ended up winning that? The Vikings?
Yeah, the Vikings won. It was a terrible game though.
Yeah,
I feel like of all games, pick I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Pick a better game than that. I feel like not many people. I feel like a lot of people are probably just tuned into that garbage game just to see the trailer.
Yeah, I mean,
especially that was a huge part of their advertising for that game. Yeah, these two teams are playing, but Star Wars trailer.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people were waiting for that thing faithfully.
Yeah. So, yeah, we got the full trailer. What did you think?
I actually think I like the teaser better than this one. I feel like this one did basically nothing for me. I also feel like it spoiled some major plot points, which we should talk about.
Yeah, I feel like this trailer is getting a really positive reaction and people are geeking out, but I don't know if it's just a fanboy reaction or what, but I was not crazy about this trailer. I had a lot of annoying things. There were a lot of annoying things about it to me, and I know it's just a trailer. I also want to preface all this by saying I'm still really excited for the movie, and me being a Star Wars head, I'll be there opening night, possibly dressed up. So I'm pretty pumped still, but it just I don't have a ton of faith in the movie based on this trailer. It just didn't do much for me. And yeah, like you said, it's really, I mean, we can just jump into the spoiler aspect. I feel like I literally was seconds from watching Leia's death scene.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear that she was about to die at the hands of Kylo. I mean, it could be a red herring, but
it could be.
We know she's going to die in this movie because
that's the thing is she's going to die because unfortunately Carrie Fisher is not with us anymore. So, and I feel like you just could already, even if Carrie Fisher was, I feel like you could probably surmise that she's not going to make it through this movie. So all that factored in, and then you show it just almost felt like the whole scene. You see Kylo flying his advanced TIE fighter, and it's zooming in on both of them. Even the line that goes with it, he's sort of sometimes you need to put the past behind you and move, or whatever he says there. And then he's squeezing the trigger as Leia looks solemnly on. That she's about to die there.
I will say that, sometimes trailers do that kind of stuff and it's misleading on purpose, where they'll cut together two scenes that are not related. Because I've seen that happen a lot, but I
guess they could. But even that I don't like. Even if it is that, I mean, I guess that's better than just revealing the scene, but I still don't like that either, because I feel like it's why are you trying to trick me in a stupid trailer? It just feels stupid.
I feel like it's stupid. Point.
Yeah, but wasn't crazy about that. It's a minor thing, but I don't like the way the lightsaber looked. I don't know if you noticed this, but it just it looked like a stick. It looked like a.
You talking about Rey's lightsaber?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it looked
actually
weird.
Was the same thing.
It's hard for me to explain it in words. Like it's hard to, but like the way the lightsabers are in the original trilogy, it's just so much more satisfying than the way it looks in this one. Like they look like, I almost want to say they look like they have weight to them, but I feel like that's not the right way to put it.
And also,
it's obviously light, but it's
with the
in
prequels,
this.
I feel like they looked a lot better in the prequels too. Like more like it's actually a beam being emitted and not just like a lit up stick.
That's what it looked like. It looked like a lit up stick, and it looked like it had no weight to it. The way she was swinging it around, like it didn't. Even the glow of it was like unsatisfying. Like it just had like a really dull, like washed out glow. And like in the original movies, man, that they are like glowing blue or like glowing green, and like this, it just looked like a washed out blue stick. Like, and it looked like it had no weight. I was just like, what is that? Like, it looks stupid. And I noticed it a little bit in Force Awakens. Like, it wasn't as good as I remember them being, but especially in this trailer, I was like, what is that garbage? Like,
yeah, I actually was thinking the same thing when she was swinging around. I was like, that lightsaber does not look normal.
No, it does. It does not. What else what else did or didn't like about it for you?
I mean, nothing from it stuck out to me. I didn't like when they were showing like her holding her hand out to Kylo Ren. I feel like the trailer was very much like just throwing you all over the place, like just random scenes.
Yeah, it was kind of like
together.
I feel like it was really like setting up a narrative too. Like, oh, like Rey's gonna go the dark side. Like, I don't know if that's again gonna like mess with us or if that's what's going to happen,
or if Kylo Ren is going to like redeem himself, which I feel like if they redeem him as a character, that's going to be kind of like not good after he kills both his parents. Like, he kind of is irredeemable at that point.
Yeah, he pretty much killed the most, like one of the, if not the most beloved character in the entire series. So I don't know about a redemption story for him is the best idea, especially in this movie. Maybe in the final one he can do something, but yeah, I feel like this movie should not do that. I'm just gonna put it out there too. I'm out on these porgs. Have you heard about those?
People are apparently going nuts over that. I didn't even like notice them in the trailer much. I guess I wasn't paying that much attention. But yeah, people are like losing
it over these things. And like to me, it just like maybe it's just this like me being cynical, but it just like it reeks of like, we're gonna sell so many toys by throwing this cute little thing in there. Like, just throw
Jar Jar 2.0 all over it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, these are our new version of the Ewoks. We're throwing them in there. Everyone's gonna love them. Like, it just, I just hate it. And in that one scene with the Porgs, another like CGI concern, Chewie looked terrible in that scene. Did you? Like, I don't know if you got a chance to notice it, but like, he looks horrendous in that scene, like CGI wise. Like, he looks glossy and like he looks fake. Like
why would they CGI him? Like, that literally
I don't know.
Makes no
like
sense.
I haven't watched the trailer a bunch of times, like a lot of people have, but it didn't look very good. Like, Chewie looked terrible. Like, he looked CGI. Like, just stick with Peter Mayhew, or like stick with a guy in a suit. Like,
yeah, because it works so well. Like, the suit looked great. It was
but
convincing.
watch that again when you get a chance, because it looks horrible. I was like, what is, like, I noticed the Porg, and then I was like, what is that fake ass looking Chewie next to him? Like, looked horrendous. What else? Like, nothing like stood out to me. Nothing like in the trailer. There was nothing where I was like, oh man, I am excited for that. Like, there was nothing.
I also don't know how I feel about Finn. He had a lightsaber again. Like, is he even a Jedi or what? I don't even.
Oh yeah, he did. I don't know what they're doing with his character. I don't know if he's supposed to be like. I don't know if he's supposed to be like the new Han Solo, or like Oscar Isaac is. Like, I don't really know what Finn's character arc is going to be. And like, another character I don't like is that Captain Phasma. I don't even know.
She was barely in The Force Awakens. Like, they hyped her up a lot, and she did basically nothing in that movie.
She didn't do anything in that movie, and like, I just don't need that character. Like, again, I'm not going to judge her too harshly, because I don't know what they're going to come up with as far as her arc goes. But I have a feeling it's just going to be like Finn's, where she's like a stormtrooper that has doubts and like wants to turn to the rebel side, and it's like, okay, we already got that with Finn. Like, I don't need the same character doing that again.
I was actually thinking she was going to parallel Boba Fett, because I feel like all these characters have parallels, and I thought she was going to be Boba Fett.
Actually,
she has the look too.
That could be cool if she does that, but I just like I don't. She does something in Force Awakens. I can't remember now because I haven't seen it in a while, but does something to let them out, like a redemptive. She has a redemptive moment in that movie where it's
when
like
they're like escaping on their ship or something.
yeah, and I can't remember exactly what she does, but she does something that's like, oh, maybe this character has a, could be a future, ally to the rebellion. I was like worried that they're going to carry out that story arc where she's like a good guy deep down, and I'm just like, I don't need to see that, but.
Yeah, I mean, especially when I feel like these movies are kind of lacking in villains. Like, we right now just have Kylo Ren. That's it.
Yeah, and I'm also just perpetually worried about that Snoke character. I don't know how I feel about him. Like, I definitely wasn't excited about him after Force Awakens, and like, you kind of get a glimpse of him in this. Like, I guess a non-hologram version. It's like, it's not that he looks terrible, but I'm just like, we'll see who this character is. He kind of looks like Sloth from the Goonies. Like,
yeah,
I'm just like, we'll see. But I'm trying to think what else.
Honestly, I'm really just not. I don't like how all these characters. I feel like maybe I'm wrong with Phasma, maybe not, but I feel like they all parallel a character from the trilogy, the original trilogy. Like
Yeah.
And I just don't like it. Like, I feel like it's just trying too hard.
Yeah, I hope they go in a different direction. I mean, apparently this movie is going to be long. I heard it's gonna be like 154 minutes. So, yeah, which is like, I think, pretty handily the longest Star Wars movie ever. So, I hope they go in like some really different directions with it, because like, I like The Force Awakens a lot. I loved it when I first saw it, but it does like, it really sticks to the Star Wars formula. So I'm like, I'm okay with that because to me, it did it pretty well. I know you're not as crazy about it, but, this movie needs to do something different. It can't just be like, a slightly different version of Empire Strikes Back, as much as I love that one.
That's a rumor that's been going around for a while. In fact, there's like even like plot synopses that are probably fake. A lot of people are claiming that they've seen the script and it's literally just an Empire Strikes Back clone.
I mean, if it is, that's going to be bad. And like, I'm also not crazy about the island that Luke is on. Like, I don't really like the look of it. Like, it's just kind of boring. Like, I hope they don't spend too much time there either. So I'm just like, it's not nearly as interesting as Dagobah is to me. And also, I feel like, again, that's like the exact same storyline as Empire Strikes Back, where, Luke trains with Yoda. If Rey is just training with Luke for like half the movie, I'm gonna be like, ugh. Especially if it's on that island, I'm just gonna get really sick of that.
I also feel like I'm not gonna be convinced, because like I really liked in what's it called? Star Wars Legends now, the old extended universe canon.
Yeah.
Because in that, Luke basically restarts the Jedi Academy and tons of stuff happens. And I feel like I'm going to have a hard time buying this idea that he just gave up on training Jedi. And I'm assuming the reason is because he trained Kylo Ren and then he went to the dark side and it basically made him quit training Jedi. But it's like, I'm going to have a hard time like buying the reason that he would be willing to just like throw away restoring the Jedi Order when he was like so...
Yeah, no, absolutely. Not only that, but Luke, like, he seems like really scared in this trailer. Like, I don't even know if I was crazy about Mark Hamill's delivery of his lines in the trailer, but like, he's so like part of Luke's character, I feel like, and I know it's because he's young in the originals, but he's so confident and he's like, he's not afraid really of anything. Like, he doesn't have like a lot of fear in him. He has some hatred, but there's no like fear really. And I feel like this whole trailer is like, I've seen this power once before, or this raw strength, and I'm scared of it now. Like, really? Like, why are you so...
He's one of like the top 5 Jedi of all time or something.
That's the other thing, is why is he scared of Rey's raw strength? Like, Luke is probably like the most, at this point in time, he's probably the most powerful Jedi, maybe besides like Yoda, to ever live. So why is he afraid of her? Like, he could put her down in like a heartbeat if you wanted to.
He's like not going to be that. He's probably going to be really strong in these movies, but he's not going to be like amazing like he should be. And that's going to be irritating.
That's going to be really irritating, because Luke should be like just the man in this movie. Like, he should be like just basically a god. And if they don't make him that, I'm going to be disappointed. I know that.
Yeah,
because he like seems afraid of Rey in the trailer, and I'm like, you should be able to like. It's not that you would want to put her down, but like, you shouldn't be afraid of her like fledgling abilities.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a Jedi master that, at this point would be, like you said, one of the strongest Jedi of all time, even just in raw potential. Of course, like, I'm pretty sure they're going to make Rey the new strongest raw potential ever.
Maybe, but I mean, think about like how strong Anakin was. Like, do you think Yoda was afraid of Anakin? Like, Yoda could have put Anakin down, like, if he had to. Like, as strong as Anakin was, like, Yoda could have taken him. And
Same
it was
thing with
like
Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan wasn't afraid of Anakin.
Obi-Wan wasn't afraid of Anakin. Obi-Wan wasn't even like, Obi-Wan wasn't, even close to as strong as Yoda, or at least there was a distinct gap there, and Obi-Wan was still able to beat Anakin. Like, I just don't buy that Luke is afraid of Rey's potential. And like, also, I don't know what, I guess he's referring to Kylo when he says like, I've seen this raw strength once before. Like, Kylo's not even all that strong. Like
he really hasn't done anything.
Like Kylo got beaten by, Kylo was like somewhat struggling with Finn, who's not only probably not a Jedi, but had like never used a lightsaber before, and they were like fighting. Like, it wasn't like, if Kylo was that raw power, had that much raw power, he would have like smoked Finn where he stood. Like, that would have been over in like a heartbeat. And he would have been able to pretty easily defeat Rey, which he was not at all. He actually got beaten. So, I don't know. There's just, this movie has a lot to answer, in my opinion. I'm not feeling too good about it based on the trailers that I've seen.
Yeah, I doubt this movie is going to give us the answers we want. I really doubt it.
Yeah, I'm not feeling too great about it. I'm still excited. It's not like I'm out on the movie, but I don't know. I'm not thrilled. I'm not seeing anything that's like putting me at ease or like making me feel like, oh, this is going to be amazing. I'm kind of like going into this thing very, very skeptical.
And it's just frustrating because, like, with the old extended universe canon, they did some stupid stuff, but they, in a good sense, they went after the original trilogy and did like a lot of smart things that were interesting and made sense. And it's like they obviously are not drawing from that canon.
Yeah, and they did some things that are like, that would easily separate from the old original 3 movies. And I feel like I'm worried that these movies are just so beholden to the original 3, and they know everybody, or a lot of people, hate the prequels, and they're like, oh, we can't do those prequels again. We gotta like keep this close to the book. And I'm worried it's gonna be like just too beholden to the originals. And it's like, don't get me wrong, I love those movies, but you gotta do something different here, especially after the first one. Like, okay, the first movie was like, it harkened back. That's okay. But now, from here on out, you gotta do some different stuff. And yeah, I feel like the canon provides a lot of opportunity to do that. I mean,
also, with the prequels, I know that obviously most people hate the prequels or aren't fans. I like the prequels a lot more than most people because, at the very least, they did try to be different, and they succeeded greatly at that.
Yeah, they did. I mean, at least they were different. I'll give you that. I can't give you much else from my end, but at least they weren't copies. I'll give you that much.
Yeah, I mean, he tried. He was like, I'm not going to just ride the coattails of my old movies. I'm going to do something new, and he did something new. And yeah, it mostly sucked, but at least he didn't just like make a carbon copy.
Yeah, well, personally, just to talk in like broad strokes, I feel like the ideas weren't even the worst part about the prequels. It was just the execution was horrendous, in my opinion. Like,
a lot of bad acting and bad writing.
Bad acting and writing was some of the downfall of it, and it's bad CGI. But I feel like the ideas weren't necessarily terrible. But I don't know. I'm kind of, the jury is still out for me, unfortunately.
Well, we'll definitely be reviewing this one, so.
Yeah, we'll definitely be reviewing this one. We'll have to make this a big episode. Get some of the other boys in on this thing. But
oh yeah, absolutely. Maybe we can get Butler for this one.
Yeah, we got our friend Butler in it. We can't, man. We used to have some epic like Star Wars knowledge showdowns.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, back in the day, we'd like, my friend Butler and I, like, when we were growing up. This is all our millions of listeners. We had this like giant Star Wars encyclopedia with like all this random knowledge in it. Man, we would like study that thing, and we would have like trivia showdowns, and it got pretty in depth. I mean, there was always like, we'd always do them periodically, and there was always a couple questions I had in my back pocket that I knew he'd like forgotten about. I'd be like, oh, what are there were like these spiders that lived on Dagobah, and I would like ask him a question about those, and I would always get them, and then he would ask me a bunch of stuff that I can't even think of any off the top of my head, but it got pretty intense.
Yeah, I would definitely put you guys up against some pretty hardcore Star Wars nerds, so.
Oh yeah, you better believe it. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say about the trailer. I mean, I feel like
we spent a while on this. I think
we got pretty in depth on it. So, what do you want to do? You want to move into the Blade Runner review, or you want to talk about this Hollywood scandal going on?
Let's talk about Harvey Weinstein, because this is a big deal.
Yeah, let's talk about him. This scumbag.
So, yeah, this is basically a couple days ago. I I don't know how long, it was like 5 days ago. New York Times released a big article accusing Harvey Weinstein of sexual harassment. Apparently, like a lot of actresses, like it was like 20 of them, have accused him of sexually harassing them in some way. I think Ashley Judd was one, right?
Yeah, she was. And anybody that doesn't know Harvey Weinstein, he co-founded Miramax, which got later turned into just the Weinstein Company. And it's one of the biggest like production companies out there. I mean, they have done
so many Oscar winners,
like tons of like critically acclaimed movies. They did Pulp Fiction, and we can't even list them all. They did so many, but
yeah, I mean, it's a huge list. He's like produced he has like 300 production credits or something.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, basically just like huge list of people saying that all this stuff happened. He didn't deny it. You know, he said he has done a lot of stuff. Apparently he had settled a lot of lawsuits with actresses in the past. I think Rose McGowan was one he settled with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Jeez.
And then this was just like the tip of the iceberg. So first he says, he admitted to some stuff and said he was going into rehab. He tried to save his job at Miramax or at Weinstein Company, but they fired him, obviously. Then an article from the New Yorker came out, and 3 actresses in there say that he raped them.
Oh my God, yeah.
So that's really bad. I mean, there's just tons of stuff. Like there's something saying that like they tried, the NYPD like had like evidence of something but didn't prosecute or something like that.
Man,
tons of accusations. And then they're saying there's one former New York Times reporter that said she was trying to run a story like 15 years ago or something. And then Matt Damon and Russell Crowe supposedly called the New York Times and squashed the story.
Oh my God. If like this could be huge. Like if they like find out that some of these big name like A-list stars are like have gone out of their way over the years to defend this guy, like that's
especially when they knew what was going on, because like, you know, there were like rumors about this for a very long time. There's like a Seth MacFarlane joke going around from 2013. He made a joke about like, you know, actresses having to like do stuff for Harvey Weinstein to get roles. So I mean, this was like basically an open secret. A lot of people and it took a while for people to like deny stuff, and most of them, when they come out and like, you know, basically disavow him, they say, well, I didn't know what was going on. Like Meryl Streep said that, George Clooney said that. And it's like, that's very hard to believe that they had no idea this was happening.
Especially some of these biggest, like the biggest stars out there. Like if Seth MacFarlane and like people like that knew what was going on, like, you know that like George Clooney and those guys knew what was happening.
I mean,
like,
this
or you would assume that they would.
This stuff has been going around the internet for a long time. Like of all the people in Hollywood, like, you know, they all have like some weird rumors. Harvey Weinstein was like the number one by far. Like he does all kinds of stuff. And yeah.
Man,
it's not like they're in the business. They obviously are going to hear these rumors.
This is not a good look for Hollywood either, because Hollywood is always, you know, so progressive and on the front of these types of issues. And if they find out that one of like their biggest producers has been doing this stuff for years and a lot of these A-list celebrities knew about it, that's a crushing blow for Hollywood.
I mean, this is really just like with Casey Affleck, he got accused of doing something. I don't remember what it was, sexual assault or something. And a lot of people were going after him. You know, he didn't really take very much.
Well, yeah, when he was accepting his Oscar, who was it? Brie Larson or whatever, like was not even clapping. Like,
yeah. I mean, there was people, you know, basically trying to like Hollywood, they're big on women's rights and stuff. And it's like all these people that are big on women's rights and like, you know, speak up and say something. They were all keeping their mouth shut about Harvey Weinstein. That is, I mean, Ben Affleck has taken a ton of heat. I don't remember why he is, but I don't know if they said he defended Weinstein.
I think like Matt Damon was too or something, right?
Yeah, Matt Damon's the big one because I think he had to delete his Twitter or something. He had to come out and say that he didn't do what, because they were saying he called the New York Times and was like, that story's not true. I'm personally vouching for, I don't remember what the story was specifically.
When it's like,
and then they were like, some editor from the New York Times was like, well, the story just wasn't strong enough to be published, but it's like that doesn't change the fact that Matt Damon may have called and been like, you know, this story's, you know, made up, don't publish it.
And then it's like you could speculate and draw the line like, like Weinstein produced Good Will Hunting, which got you your big break. Like, what's going on there?
Exactly. Same thing with Ben Affleck. And I forgot what people are going after Ben Affleck for, but it's like there are a lot of people taking heat over this. And then, you know, Harvey Weinstein's very big in Democratic circles, and you know, there's a lot of, he donated like millions of dollars to Democrats, and they've all got to come out and say they don't, they gotta like come out and disavow him basically.
Yeah, and there was one source that was defending him, and I can't remember what it was. I was reading an article about it, and they were just like brushing it off as like he's an old dinosaur, like that's how they referred to him, and it's like it's
yeah,
it's like
that's how he tried to justify it in his statement. He's like, I grew up in a different time. Like, well, even in your time, that was not like cool. Nobody was said,
like,
okay, we can do this.
Oh, it's raping women. That's okay in the 70s. Like, forget about it. Like, yeah. Oh my god. I don't know.
I think this is bad, and I think it's going to get worse. I think there are probably some A-list actors right now that are seriously sweating because there's going to be some stuff coming out about them.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if this turns into I don't even know, like a trial or something. I mean, just imagine like
there's a good chance like
who
some
could
criminal
get
charges
taken down for this. Like,
yeah, if a criminal trial happens, which I don't think it will, but it could. I mean, a lot of stuff would come out at that.
Ugh. Yeah, it definitely could.
This is just a lot of hypocrisy over this too. Just there's Hollywood is, like as we said, so big on like women's rights and fighting against rape, and then like maybe like the king of producers in Hollywood has been doing this crap for decades. And that definitely doesn't send a good message for Hollywood and it's what it's trying to present itself as. Yeah,
I guess we'll have to keep closely following this story. Maybe it'll be on future episodes once we get more of a clear-cut vision of what's going on here. But
yeah, I mean, stuff has been coming out like almost every day about it, so I don't think we're done hearing about this.
No, so we will definitely keep everybody apprised. But all right, you want to move on to this Blade Runner review?
Yeah, now we'll move on to something a little
a little different. I hope Gosling didn't know anything. I don't think he did.
I doubt it. I don't know if he's worked on a Weinstein film or not.
I'm not sure if he has, but I'm going with he knows nothing.
Yeah, because a lot of people I like and respect their names have been dropped in the story, and it's very disappointing.
Very disappointing. So, Blade Runner 2049, directed by Denis Villeneuve, and starring Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford. Yeah, not much else to say. Dave, do you want to ride us into this thing?
Yeah, so let me just get right in this. It's apparently written by Hampton Fancher and Michael Green, and I guess Hampton Fancher wrote...
what has he done?
He did the original Blade Runner, apparently.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, so that's interesting. I brought him back.
Wow, I did not know that. Awesome.
Anyway, so I guess I'll just jump right into this plot. It's a long film, but not a ton of stuff happens.
Yeah, it's kind of, hopefully, synopsis-wise, it should be not too bad, because there's a lot of, like, long, drawn-out scenes that can be...
Yeah, we'll get to that, for sure. So, it opens with the hero Ryan Gosling he's a replicant Blade Runner. Blade Runners are basically police officers that chase down rogue replicants, which are basically like synthetic humans.
Yeah.
But, they're like slaves, basically. And he's a new generation one, and the new generation ones obey, because the old Blade Runner, they were old generation replicants, and they don't obey, and so basically he has to go down looking for them and retiring them, which means kill them. So it opens with him. He's like flying around. I guess he's in California, I think. And basically, like the entire sky is like blacked out because of I don't know. Whatever. They just
pollution, bad dystopian stuff has happened. That's like pretty much.
And he flies out to this.
But
farm.
Isn't it even like pretty blacked out? It's pretty blacked out in the first one too, I think.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the big thing in the first one is pollution. And the big thing is there's no real animals left. It's all like android animals.
Yeah, right. I actually feel like it was more blacked out in the first one almost, but I think that's partly due to just like the mood that movie creates.
I think they spent a lot more time in the city in the first one. This one, he actually goes outside the city a decent amount.
Yeah, that's true. The first one's more like in the streets pretty much for the whole thing.
So he flies out to this farm. It's a protein farm where the guy grows like leeches or something, and I guess people eat leeches for protein.
Yeah, or like maggots or larvae, whatever they were.
Something like that. And there's a really big dude there. His name is...
Dave Bautista?
Morton, I think. Yeah, Dave Bautista. He's huge.
What if they just left his name as Dave Bautista in the movie?
That would have been pretty good. I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, he definitely looks different.
Yeah, so he flies out to the guy's farm. The guy knows he's coming, and it's funny because he goes into like his little farmhouse and waits for him, and then he comes in there, and they have a little talk about miracles.
Yeah, I just want to say that suit looked amazing. I don't know what it was about it, but just the way he like unhooked that like pipe, that like like this. You know what I'm talking about? When he has this suit on, it just looked good. I just had to interject and say
production
that.
design in this film was ridiculously
It
good.
was.
Yeah,
Continue.
so he goes in there, he waits for him, he comes in, and he's like, they have a talk, and Ryan Gosling takes his gun out, which he should have just kept it. That was stupid.
Yeah.
He's like, I got to take you in. And Sapper Morton's like, well, we're going to fight, basically. So they get into a fight, and he really pounds Ryan Gosling's character, Kay, pretty hard. He, throws him through a wall. He's, slamming him into the ground. So we see here that Kay is extremely, tough and strong because he manages to basically beat Sapper with a rock.
Yeah, and it's also clear, size doesn't necessarily matter when it comes to replicants because, although he does kind of pound him initially, Ryan Gosling, is clearly at least as strong, if not stronger than him.
Yeah, and it's the most of the damage he does to him doesn't really even seem like it impacts him at all.
No.
He's just hitting him and it's not doing anything.
Yeah,
so,
he's not that hurt.
He ends up beating him with a rock, and then he says something about, you've never seen a miracle. And then he tells him, they have a little talk, and he's like, my generation of replicants obey, your kind doesn't, so we're not that, because they try to have the replicants in this movie kind of have this weird relationship when they talk.
Yeah. Did you know before he says that line, your kind, that Ryan Gosling was a replicant? Is it made, because that's the line that kind of cued me
had
off
somebody read that somewhere, so I knew he was a replicant before that, but I guess that it wasn't supposed to be a big secret, but
okay,
that definitely was a reveal. Yeah, I mean, in the official synopsis, it says he's a replicant, so it's not really a spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he ends up charging him, and he shoots Sapper Morton, and then he finds his field, because he used to be a combat medic. He finds his kit, and then he goes outside, and he has a little drone attached to his flying car that takes pictures, and he sees an old dead tree, and there's basically no trees left in the world in this, or if there are, you're not going to see one.
They're super rare.
And he ends up finding that there's something buried under the tree, so they dig it up, and it's a body, or it's just bones, and it's the bones of a replicant. So he takes it back to the police station, which I also thought was interesting in the scene in the police station, how all the other police officers hate him, and they're saying mean stuff to him.
Yeah, that he's basically
yeah, they call him a Skinner or something.
Experiences prejudice.
Yeah. They do a forensic analysis of the bones, and they find out that it was a replicant and that it was pregnant because they had to perform a C-section on it. So then his commander, his name is Lieutenant Joshi, is played by Robin Wright, takes him in there and is like, look, you need to find this child and destroy all evidence of it, because if people find out that replicants can have children, it's going to cause a war. Which, actually I have a problem with that. I don't know if we should get into it now or later, but I feel like if you have...
I guess we can get into it later.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say basically, if you don't have a problem enslaving a race of people that are basically essentially human, the fact that they can have children or not is not going to change your mind at all.
Yeah, I have a problem with that too. Yeah,
what does that matter? They're already humans in every single way. Who cares if they can have kids? You're still
there's also we can just get into it. There's also a line later in the movie where she's like, it's they get their self-worth from the fact that they find that the replicant can have a baby. It's you guys are already humans in every conceivable way.
They literally have emotions. They lie, which
you guys have
supposed to.
You guys have emotions. You lie. You can have sex. You're you guys are humans. I don't see why
between them and humans.
I don't see why having a baby or showing that replicants can reproduce is gives them hope. I thought that was just a weird message to send.
And the fact that people have no problem enslaving these people already, the fact that they can have children is not going to change anything, because humans have enslaved other humans for all time, and they were able to have children then, and they didn't care then either.
Yeah, and there's already ethics now about robots that we're creating right now, what ethically, how are we supposed to treat them, and these are a million times less advanced than the androids in this, or the replicants in Blade Runner. I mean, these are literally just humans with the most minute differences, and it's
really.
So
I mean, they even have sarcasm and stuff. There's really no difference.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling's cracking jokes. I mean, he's they're incredibly socially aware. I mean, that Ryan Gosling's interacting with this really obviously not the most attractive guy in the world in this one scene. He's like, oh, I bet your kids were adorable, or I bet your baby pictures were adorable. And he says it in a joking way. He clearly knows what he's doing. Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Joshi tells him he's got to find the kid and destroy all evidence of it. I think before this happened, though, he actually went back to his apartment. And we see that he has a artificial intelligence girlfriend named, was it Joy?
Yeah.
And played by Anna de Armas, however you say that. And he chills out in his apartment, which I also thought was funny how like seedy the apartment was on the outside, but inside it's pretty nice.
Yeah, I didn't know, I thought that was cool too, but I'm not sure, I don't get what that was trying to say. Like, I thought it was cool, but it's like, if he has that nice an apartment, wouldn't he be like in a better part of the city, or like I don't know.
I kind of get the impression like all apartments are just nice in the future. It's just that the outside of them is still terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was visually interesting, but I was kind of like, all right, what is the message here? Like, I couldn't really.
I wish it kind of had fleshed out his life outside of working more. Because
yeah,
we got a lot of it, but we didn't get enough for me.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Curious how much money he got paid and like how much free time he had.
We'll get into that too, because that's one of my nitpicks, but yeah, go on.
All right, yeah. So he gets called back there, and she's like, "Yeah, because he was like he got off duty because he captured a replicant, I guess, or he gets like a bonus every time he brings one in." And she's like, "You got to figure out where this baby went, kill it, and kill every evidence." And then so he goes to the company that makes replicants now is what is it, Wallace Corporation or something?
Yeah,
yeah.
Any relation, Dave?
Neander Wallace.
It'd be nice if you had some of that Wallace money.
Yeah, I'm sure that.
I can't even imagine how much that guy makes.
He's probably like has trillions of dollars.
I can't. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Wallace Corporation. It was Tyrell Corporation, and they basically they explain that. I think that the old replicants basically had like almost like an uprising or something, and they had to kill them all. They banned replicants. And then this guy, Neander Wallace, convinced them that he can make replicants that obey, and they let them start making them again. And he bought the remains of Tyrell Corporation. So he goes to their headquarters. I thought their headquarters was really interesting. It was like this giant pyramid.
Yeah, it was cool. I also like how that was their Earth headquarters. It almost felt like it was like, secondary to their off-world one. Yeah,
you're right. And he goes in there, and they go looking for because he has the serial number of the replicant. They go looking for like the records of her. And the guy explains that there was a blackout, which like wiped out a lot of their old records. So he goes to their like record library and gets like a little tiny bit of information about her. And then he listens to an interview between Rachel from the first movie.
Yeah.
She's a major character in the first movie. And he listens to a conversation between her and Deckard, and that's how he knows to look for Deckard. So then Love, another replicant, and this is interesting. Apparently replicants don't have names, but she has one because she's very special. She's like basically Wallace's personal assistant. So she decides to like personally help Kay out. And I don't remember if it's after the scene or before the scene where we see Wallace. He's talking to Love, and he basically has this weird thing where he watches a replicant be born. It's this woman, and he explains how they can't have children and that he can't make enough. They need to start having their own babies. And then he decides to like stab her in the stomach for some reason.
Yeah, I think it was right before that. And then after that, it flashes to Gosling like on his mission.
Yeah. So he's like, you need to figure out, he already knows that they're looking for a kid. And he's like, you need to figure out how they had a kid and get that information to me. So he knows he has to look for Deckard. That's basically all he knows at this point. And then after this, Love breaks into the police station and steals the bones.
What the hell did she do to that one guy? She kills like this like assistant there, and would she just like smash his spinal cord with like a judo chop or something?
Yeah, she literally like judo chopped him once and like just kill him. And I guess it's because like she had like acute knowledge of the human body and was able to just destroy him in one judo chop.
Yeah, she does some work in this movie.
I mean, like the replicants are extremely strong and good fighters, obviously, but yeah, it was kind of ridiculous how well she took him out.
Yeah, it's like it was one shot, like a judo chop, and he's like, I don't even know what happened to him, but he's like, and his eyes are like bloody, like he was done.
How did they know that, how did Wallace know that Rachel had a child? How did he figure that out? Were they like listening in on the LAPD headquarters or what? I don't even remember.
Well, wouldn't it be because, that's actually, how do they?
Like, Kay goes in there and he doesn't say why he's looking. He just needs to know about this replicant. And then like Wallace like already know. It might have explained it in the movie. Because I feel like she goes and steals the bones.
I feel like it did, but I'm like, my mind is like hazy right now. I don't know. I saw it again too, so I should know, but That was one of the things that I didn't.
don't remember how they knew that. I feel like they were spying on the police station, but I'm not sure.
They probably were. I mean, like, that Wallace Corporation has a finger in everything, so.
Yeah, I mean, this is like like Walmart.
Yeah, it's like Walmart times 10. I mean, this corporation like seems to be like in charge of Earth pretty much. Like,
yeah.
and, like, everything is produced by them.
So after this, Kay goes back to the farm and he ends up finding a sock. Or did he find the sock earlier?
No, I think it's after.
Yeah, and then he finds the toy horse, which has a date on it, and it like kind of like freaks him out because he has a memory. Because I guess replicants get fake memories implanted so they can feel like they had a childhood.
Yeah,
and it's the same horse from a memory he has. So he starts freaking out and thinking that like he's the child.
Yeah,
and,
so he thinks he's the child of Harrison Ford, Deckard, and Rachel.
Yeah, he thinks he's the one that was born. So after that, he how did he get to the orphanage?
Well, that's where he found the horse.
I don't remember how he figured out how to go to the orphanage. Well, either way, he has a scene where he goes to the farm, and then he goes to the orphanage. And while he's flying out to the orphanage, he gets like shot out of the air, basically.
Yeah,
and then like this giant like crowd of like savages descends upon him, and like he starts killing a couple of them, and then this drone, which is being controlled by Love, just like ends up slaughtering like 300 savage men.
Yeah,
just like raider wasters surviving out in the wild.
Just another like example of how powerful Wallace Corporation is. They can just have drone strikes at the ready at any point in time.
Yeah, it's a pretty good scene because she's like getting her nails done and just like controlling the drone with her voice, just slaughtering.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, and it's also funny too because like the orphanage is out there, so he's got like he has to travel out into like the waste. I think it's like the ruins of Los Angeles or something because Los Angeles is so big.
I think it's like San Diego.
Oh, San Diego. That sounds right.
Because it said San Diego district, so I guess it's like the putrid remains of San Diego is serving as like a slum of Los Angeles because Los Angeles is, I guess, just a massive metropolis at this point.
Yeah, so he gets out to the orphanage, which is out there, and he goes in, and basically, like, the orphanage at this point is just, like, children that are forced to, like, work all day, like, salvaging.
Yep.
So he goes in there, and he goes looking for the records. This is where he finds the toy horse, because it's, like, the same place from his memory. Like,
yeah, he has a memory, clearly, like, hiding the horse there from, I guess, some bullies in his, I don't want to say his class, some bullies from his, like, workstation or whatever.
Whatever, his orphanage. And he goes and the guy running the orphanage like shows him his record book, but somebody tore out the pages from the year that the because I think he knows it's a girl at this point. Or no, he managed to like he has that scene where he's at the police station. He's like looking through all of the people that were born that year or that birth date, and that's how he figures it out. Because there's
it showed that there's a male and a female.
Yeah, with the same DNA, which is impossible.
Yeah, so. That plays in later, but he still thinks at this point that he is the child. Well, he believes that he's the child of Deckard and Rachel. Yeah,
so that ends up being a dead end because he can't get the pages or whatever. So then he what does he do? Oh, then he wants to figure out if Joy helps him with a lot of stuff because he talks to her and she basically says, well, you need to figure out if that memory is really yours or not. So he goes and visits this woman that makes memories for replicants, and he's like, can you figure out if a memory is real or artificial? Because apparently they aren't allowed to use real people's memories for these replicants. They have to make fake ones. So she basically is locked in this like glass dome because she has like some autoimmune disease.
She's like the bubble boy from Seinfeld.
Yeah, pretty much the bubble boy. And he goes in there and she watches the memory and basically, she cries watching the memory and is like, yeah, that's a real memory. And then he like freaks out because he's like, all right, I'm the boy because that was a real memory.
Yep.
So after this, I think he actually goes back to the police station and is like, I found the child. It's all taken care of. And yeah, he does that. He goes back to, and then they have like to take this baseline test to make sure they're not going to like have a freak out, and he fails it. And he's like, the reason I failed is because I had to kill a replicant baby and it freaked me out. And the lieutenant's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to let you get out of here because you did a good job. And,
Also,
whatever.
I like you.
Yeah, I like you. There's a scene we skipped where like they're in the apartment together. And I think that she's trying to have sex with him, but we weren't 100% sure what was going on.
Yeah, I saw it again. I think she definitely is.
Because she had a weird line that I didn't understand where she was like, what happens if I finish this?
And I guess she's referring to the whole bottle of vodka, and it's just like, what? And I don't know, just the way she was looking at him, it's like, what else is going to happen if she finishes that?
Yeah, and he rejected her pretty clearly.
Yeah, and like she seemed like frustrated when he asked, got her back on work topics. Like she seemed like, oh, God damn it. Like,
yeah. So after this, he like basically is like, all right, they're gonna start hunting me. He takes his AI girlfriend with him, and he puts her on this little thing, and she's like, if somebody breaks this thing, I'm gone forever, and he doesn't want to do it, but she also doesn't want them to be able to track them. So he takes her with her. He has the horse analyzed by this guy, and he's like, that's real wood, which is like, a thing of beauty because like there's no real wood left.
It's I'm the captain now guy.
Yeah, it's that guy
from Captain Phillips.
And then he basically tells them that the horse has like a radiation signature, and the only place that it could have been from is Las Vegas, which apparently something happened there, and there was like a nuclear meltdown or something, and the entire city is like abandoned now because it's like too irradiated.
Yeah.
So after this, Love visits Joshi and is like, you need to tell me where he went. And Joshi's like, well, he already destroyed the child. You're not going to get it. So she ends up killing Joshi and then tracking Kay. Oh, by his car, I think.
Yeah.
So Kay flies out into Las Vegas. It's like this it looks like Mars, basically, because it's like a desert with a bunch of buildings. And he finds Deckard living in like this old casino. And he goes in there, and Deckard and him have like this little showdown where Deckard keeps trying to kill him. And he eventually just gets tired. It's like, okay, I give up. What do you want to talk about? And so he goes up to Deckard and is like, look, I want to ask you some questions. I know about your baby and trying to basically figure out what you did with it. And he's like, I don't know anything about it because in order to keep the child safe, I had to know literally nothing. So I just gave her up and then I went into hiding. And there basically was like this group of replicant, like, I guess they're like building a resistance who also were in the film earlier, which we skipped a couple scenes with them.
Yeah,
they helped him hide the child. So while they're talking, Love and like a bunch of goons from the Wallace Corporation like blow them up and get in there. They capture Deckard and leave Kay for dead, but not before Kay kills a couple of them.
Oh yeah, Harrison Ford can still kick some ass.
Yeah, he kicks some ass too.
Yeah.
So they kidnap Deckard and they fly off, and then after that, the replicants from the Resistance, I forgot what the girl's name was, the prostitute.
I can't remember either, but yeah.
Yeah, they rescue Kay and they take him, and then they basically go to their little hideout, and they're like, look, we're building an army to like have a resistance because we hit the child. And then they tell him that the child is definitely a girl, and they're like, you thought you were the child, we all thought that. I guess they all have like the same memory or something.
Yeah, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, so then they're like, okay, look, you need to go kill Deckard so he can't say anything. And then even though he doesn't want to kill him, obviously. And they're like, and then they're like giving this line about how dying for a cause is the most human thing you can do. Yep. Which I don't agree with, but whatever.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either.
So he basically like, they're trying to get, then it cuts to a scene with Harrison Ford. Deckard is being interrogated by Wallace in his last scene of the film, and he's basically like, first he offers him like a perfect replicant recreation of Rachel if he tells them what they want to know. And then he's like, well, Rachel's eyes were green, so it wasn't like a perfect recreation after all. So they kill that.
I gotta say, I think that is probably, I'm not gonna say it was perfect, but that's probably the best, like, human recreation using CGI.
That was pretty amazing how they did that. Apparently it was a very complicated process to do.
Yeah, like I actually thought that was like it wasn't quite like perfect, but it was damn close. Like it looked nothing like Tarkin from Rogue One, where I was like, oh, it looks terrible. Like this was good. It
looked like a person.
It really did. Yeah, this was good.
I thought they just found somebody that really looked like her, but I guess they used like a combination of the real actress, a stand-in, and CGI. I don't know how they did that.
Yeah, but it looked pretty amazing, I gotta say. And yeah, I was like, I was ready to be like, ooh, I'm ready. Like this is gonna look shitty. I know it.
No, it looked very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they're like, all right, well, we're gonna fly you to like one of our off-planet colonies and torture you until you tell us what we want to know. Because the only thing he knows is who he gave the child to, which is all they can get out of him. So while they're like, they put him on a little space car and they're getting ready to fly him off planet, Kay shows up and he has his own drone of his own. I guess his little camera drone also has like missiles. So he blows up the escort cars and then shoots down the car that's carrying Deckard and Rachel. Or not, yeah, Deckard and Love. So then they crash. He lands there. He has a showdown with Love where he fights her. She ends up like thinking she has him because she shoots him in the stomach, and then he ends up swimming out because they like it's like a, I don't even know, like a dam or something they crash into, or like a reservoir.
Yeah, was it like the wall of like, was it like the ocean, like a wall?
I don't know what that was because it was weird because like the water level was like going up and down.
Yeah, I couldn't really like. I sort of thought it was like the coastline or something of LA, but I don't know. It wasn't totally clear.
Yeah, so he ends up swimming over there and choking Love and killing her, and then rescuing Deckard. And then he's like, I staged her death, so they're going to think you drowned with the rest of them. So then he, at this point, he knows who the child is, because earlier, when he went to see the memory maker, he basically just put 2 and 2 together that she was the child. So she's the replicant child. So he's like, I'm going to take you to see your kid. So he flies Deckard out, and the woman's name is Stellene, I guess.
Yeah.
And he basically, yeah, whatever. So basically he gets there and he's like, you know, all right, you can go see her. And then he just collapses on the steps and dies. And then while Harrison Ford, Deckard, goes to meet his daughter, and then that's the end of the film.
Nice. Well played, sir. That is a very long movie to have to give a synopsis for.
A lot of scenes.
It's all good. We got the general idea of what, more than the general idea of what happened. A lot of stuff happened in this movie. So, well, Dave, what did you think of Blade Runner 2049?
I liked it a lot, but I definitely had some problems with it. I think there were like entire scenes you could have cut out of the film, to be honest.
Yeah, I was like, seriously, going into this movie, I was so ready to love it. Like, I wanted this to be like one of my all-time favorite movies. I mean, it just was like setting up for that, because it has Ryan Gosling in it, who obviously I love. He's kind of gives a Drive-esque performance, which I love when he gives those kinds of performances.
Yeah, he definitely
like,
brooded a lot.
Like Place Beyond the Pines, like, but still like has charm and charisma to go with it, like, which I love. You know, I like the director, Denis Villeneuve. Like, I love Blade Runner. I love the aesthetic of it. I love the synth score. Like, everything was like perfectly aligned for this to be like one of my favorite movies ever. So by that incredibly high standard that I had, I was a little disappointed, but I don't want to say I was disappointed by the movie, because I still really, really liked it. Borderline loved it. But I just had a lot of issues with it. It just, we'll talk about everything we loved, but just to get into some of the nitpicks and problems I had, just since they're fresh in my mind, because I've been thinking about it, and one of them you just said. One of my biggest plot issues is, why was there are 2 separate occasions where Ryan Gosling is literally on the ropes. Like, you could, Love could have killed him in 2 separate occasions. Number one, when they rescue Harrison, or when they capture Harrison Ford on Vegas. Why would Love not just kill him there?
I mean, I kind of think she had like a weird, like, if she liked seeing people suffer. So maybe she was like, first of all, she thought he was dead, good as dead anyway. I also think she had a weird, like, almost like affection for him. Because remember earlier when they're talking and she's like, they're having that conversation. It's like, you know, when somebody asks you personal questions, it shows that they like desire you.
Yeah.
And then she asks him what he does, and he doesn't answer. So I think she had to like, and then she kisses him at the end. So she had like a weird kind of like love.
But it's like he does kind of shut her down. So I kind of thought after that, like, she, you know, she didn't really care about him anymore. But I guess that kind of explains it, because there's another occasion where they're fighting at the end when she stabs him, and it looks like it's the kill blow. Like, she twists the knife and brings it up. And, like, why didn't she just finish him there? Like, just freaking rip his head off. Like, she clearly has no problem killing people. Like, she does it in multiple other occasions of the movie, gruesomely. So I just had a problem with that. I was like, why would you not just kill this guy? But I guess...
I also think it has to do with the fact that he's a replicant, because she has, like I said, they had some kind of weird replicant relationship. First of all, I think she was like, had the hots for him. And second of all, I think because he was a replicant, it was almost like a little different for her.
Okay, well, at least that kind of...
I do think it's a plot hole. Both of those are plot holes, but I would say that's my best explanation, is because he's a replicant, because she was like into him. It was like different for her.
Well, that's fair. At least that's, you know, something, because I saw it and I was just like, oh, it doesn't add up for me. I would say my biggest problem with the movie, just generally speaking, is it just was too plot driven for me. Like, it was too overly complicated. Like, there was too much plot stuff. It was too centered around this mystery, which I don't want to say I didn't care about, because I thought it was interesting, but it just was like, the original Blade Runner had such a simple plot, and all the other complex ideas and everything were kind of like filtered through that. And this, it's not that it didn't have any complex ideas, it's just like it was hard to focus entirely on those ideas and like let the mood take you over because the plot was so complicated and like, you know, had so many moving elements. I was constantly trying to like stay on top of what was happening plot wise, and it was just a little frustrating. I was like, I want this movie to just like wash over me, and I'm like constantly thinking about all these different plot strands that need to be tied up, and I didn't really like that about it. I don't want to say it was a huge issue because for me, especially seeing it, I saw it twice. Seeing it a second time, most of the plot things tied together for me. So a lot of those questions were kind of cleared up, but it still was just like, this movie is too predicated on plot for my liking. But so that was one of my biggest criticisms.
I think to add on to that, like, not only was this movie very plot driven, like the entire movie he was like trying to chase down leads basically. I didn't like that. I felt like the plot was pretty thin. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot there. Like, he was just looking for the kid. And, you know, there were like the bigger philosophical ideas of like replicants, you know, being slaves and their humanity and having souls. But really, like, you know, the plot was like not even that convoluted. It was just like, you know, it took him so long to figure stuff out. That's why it felt so complicated. Because like, there wasn't a whole lot of like detective work either. Like, he went a couple different places and then he figured out the mystery, but it just took 3 hours.
Yeah, that's
like,
the thing.
It's
like
thin plot.
That's the thing. Like, I guess when I say overly complicated, like maybe that's not the right way to put it, but it just takes forever to resolve, and like it's just like it didn't need to, or like. I don't even know if it's a length thing. It's just like another thing we were talking about earlier, which I felt like was lacking in this movie, is any scene that was just him hanging out in this world was like so interesting. I wish there was like a lot more. If the movie was going to be this long, I wish there was a lot more of that, because I felt like every scene where he's just kind of walking around the city or even like doing things in his apartment, like I found that to be like fascinating. And I wish there was more of that in there and less of him like doing this really drawn out plot investigation stuff. Like,
yeah, like the scenes like where he's like where he meets the prostitutes on the street or in his apartment, like those are really interesting scenes. And it's like, instead, you know, of having more of those, there are a lot of scenes they could have literally shaved minutes off of. Like,
or even like one of my favorite scenes where like I love I would say I loved the first probably 40 minutes of the movie. Like from that first protein farm show, that was a cool fight scene. That the aesthetic of all that was cool. And then for him going back to his apartment, which is in that like really slummy area, you get a good view of the city. Like him flying into the city is an awesome scene. Like even when he first introduces Joy and like has that dinner scene with her, and then that scene where they're outside and it's in the rain, and the way that's shot with the neon, and like she kind of freezes on him because like he gets a voice message. Like that whole scene I thought was just like masterful. Like I loved it. And I wish that it had been more of that. Like, and it was just a little too much like focus on him going through these plot mechanics and like trying to figure out this mystery. And again, I don't want to say I didn't think the mystery was bad. It's just like, you know, it wasn't that complicated, and he didn't have to do that much procedural work to solve it. So it's like, I want to spend some more time in this world, this Blade Runner world. And I just didn't get enough of that.
Yeah, really. I mean, like you said, it's just like, for me, it's like my biggest problem was like the length, really, and I didn't have a big problem with the pace because I felt like enough stuff was happening, but it was just like first of all, like he would just like shuffle along in these scenes. You just how slow he would walk in almost every scene.
Yeah,
like, it was almost like he was moving like half.
I'll tell you the scene that I felt at the worst was when he's like that whole scene where he's at the orphanage. That whole scene was just brutal to get through.
He was just like shuffling around.
He's shuffling around, and there's one scene where he's going to get his horse, and he knows it's there, and it takes literally, I feel like, 5 minutes for him to get to that horse. And everyone, you know that that's what's there. And I guess it was probably a decision by the director that, like, this is a momentous scene, like, we need to build up that, you know, his memory is being confirmed in real life. I get that, but it's just like, it would just drag there, man. Like I was just, both times I saw it, I was just like zoning out during that part.
Yeah, I mean, I actually feel like a scene that went on for way too long was when he first got to Las Vegas and he was like scouting it out. That took so long, and it was like, all right, we don't need to see all this. And then another scene, I feel like the scene where he was looking through the records of the children being born, that was a really long scene. That
was really long. Yeah,
I mean, was just like, while I was watching, it's like, this scene does not need to go on this long. And I think that part of the reason this happened is because, with the original Blade Runner, there's a big hoopla. There's like 5 different versions that exist.
Yeah, there are.
And he basically came out and said that we're making one version, that's it. So there's never going to be another version. And I think that's why this feels like a director's cut, not like a theatrical cut. And I think that's why, because he was like, I don't want to cut anything out because I am never going to touch this again. I'm not adding anything else.
That's actually a really good point. Yeah, this did feel like a director's cut, which occasionally I had issue with. Because again, it's like, it's what moments are you lingering on? Like, I wish that some of the more interesting, like, just in the world moments had been drawn out, as opposed to like these procedural plot driven elements. Like, I feel like I wish that we had more drawn out scenes of him walking around the city and just like doing stuff, interacting with like, interacting with these like lifelike advertisements, or that, buying food. Like, all that stuff was so cool, and it just felt so original and fresh. Like, linger on that stuff. Like, I don't want to see like a 10-minute shot of you walking to like slowly solve some plot element. Like, it just felt like, get it over with. Like,
yeah, really. And then, I mean, they could have they could have ended it when he saved Deckard, and they were like, nah, let's add like an extra 15 minutes because, like when he's walking to those stairs, that's a long, slow walk.
Which stairs?
The steps that he dies on.
Yeah, that was. I like that scene personally, because I like it played that old like Blade Runner theme, that kind of melody, and like I was digging that. I was in the moment there, but I didn't have too much of a problem with the end. I thought the fight scene was cool. Like, I like the aesthetic of that, the way it was shot, like at night and stuff. I thought that was interesting. For me, it's like the draggiest part for me was from when either right before or right after he does the memory scene with that one girl. That was a cool scene, like aesthetically, what they did with it. But from there to like the end to when he gets to Harrison Ford, it was like just, it felt like a slog for me.
Definitely agree with you. I liked it better before he got to Harrison Ford than after, because I feel like like probably the first 40 minutes were very interesting and just like well paced, and I was really into it, and then it just started slowing down. It really slowed down when he caught up to Harrison Ford.
Yeah, though I did like that scene where they were in the nightclub fighting with
that was a good scene
with Elvis playing, and like all the things like going in and out based on like the graphics of it, like just going on the fritz, and like they would go out, and then I thought that was a great scene. But what did you think of his relationship with Joy, who's like his computer wife, basically?
I thought that worked pretty well. I thought it was interesting because like he wanted to have an AI girlfriend because he like didn't like real girls, which was weird to me. I wasn't sure why, but
I didn't get that. Like, see, I didn't like it the first time. I feel like the second time it was like I thought it worked for me but I didn't like, because I guess one of the things that confused me the first time I saw the movie is I didn't really care when Joy died, because her emanator stick or whatever it is gets broken.
Yeah.
And I didn't really feel anything at that. And I like expected to. I was like, man, I think that's going to be a huge like emotional moment. And I just didn't really care. And I think part of it's just like, it kind of gets away from it really quickly. Like, she's dead. And then there's a brief like reaction shot on Ryan Gosling's face. And that's like, it's gone. Like, and, but then the second time I saw it, I feel like that whole relationship was supposed to be less about Ryan Gosling and her interaction, as Joy was basically just like deceiving. It's not that that specific Joy was deceiving him, but I feel like the whole model was deceiving him. Like, she wasn't really like a person. She was basically just like subservient to him, because then he has that brief kind of conversation with that giant advertisement that's like, oh, we'll tell you whatever we want to hear. So it basically, I think, just kind of enforces that they didn't really have much of a relationship. She was more just subservient to him and just told him whatever he wanted to hear, and was kind of like, just like a manifestation of his loneliness, like, which I thought worked pretty well. But I can't, when you think about it, like, there's not much to her character, like, other than her just like supporting Ryan Gosling. Like, there's not really,
her entire existence revolves around him. Yeah,
you don't really get in a sense, at least, especially the second time I saw it, that they have like a true relationship, like a back and forth type thing. It's kind of just like, I feel like she just does whatever he wants. Like, so I feel like it's kind of like just his fantasy pretty much, which I thought was cool. And that especially, I think that makes it the scene where he, like realizes that, when he's talking to the giant advertisement version of joy, like, oh crap, even though I was kind of smart enough to realize that it was false, like, man, I really like, that wasn't like a real relationship. But I don't understand why he doesn't like normal girls then.
Yeah, it doesn't explain that. That is something I do wish they explained, because it doesn't explain it, because there are like replicant women out there he could date, or he could date a normal woman.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't really understand like what kind of rights the replicants have, because they obviously have rights. I mean, he's a police officer with a gun.
Yeah, so he's definitely like, a member of society. He's not literally just like a slave. So, and he has a nice apartment, and like, so obviously he's, discriminated against, but he's not like, it's not like he can't do anything. It's not like he's just like literally a slave. Like, clearly he has free time. He has, he can go eat out, do what he wants. He has off time. So
I actually wish they had expanded more on that, like what the replicants.
Yeah, like that's what I wanted. Like, what is Ryan Gosling doing in his spare time? Like, show me more of that. Like, I want to know what Officer K is like getting up to, even if he's just walking around the city and like yearning. Like, show me that.
Yeah.
Like, or show me it more than you did.
Because I feel like we didn't get enough of that from his character to know. Like, his character was well developed, but it was like I would have liked to have a lot more. I would have liked to know a lot more about the background of replicants in general. Because all we know is that they are made to obey, and they do obey. But like, do they obey literally any command? What if you were like, shoot yourself in the head? Do they have to do it? Do they have to listen to anybody?
Yeah, it's not really clear. And Ryan Gosling, like, I thought it was a great performance because he felt both. I feel like he felt both like a human and like a replicant at the same time, but clearly he has so many human qualities. I mean, he has social awareness, he can make jokes, he has like desires physically and like, in terms of like a yearning sense to be a human, like, he has so many human qualities. It's like, I wish that had been explored a little more. Like, I don't know. And I also don't, like we were saying earlier, like, why is it that androids or the replicants feel like only because they found out the one of them had a baby, why does that make them feel like suddenly we need to fight for our rights? Like, why is it that is like that
should not be the tipping point?
No, because you think they're smart, and the replicants would be smart enough to realize before that we are like humans in every way. Like we have
could lie about being humans, and they would not be able to figure out they weren't humans, especially the older models, which don't have like any restraints on them really.
Yeah, it's not that you cut into them and you see like circuits and stuff. Like, they're literally humans in like every way, except they don't reproduce, or at least not all of them do. Well, like, even if they didn't think they could reproduce, it's like, you think why does it take that for them to realize like, hey, we need to not be treated like slaves anymore? Like,
I mean, I can see why that would be like a big deal for them, but I don't see how it would be the tipping point, because I feel like the idea that they could fall in love would be more the tipping point than the fact that they could have children.
Yeah, and clearly they can fall in love. Like, even in the first movie, like, with Harrison Ford and Rachel. One thing I didn't get, and I don't know that I want to buy into this, but like, Jared Leto suggested in one scene that Harrison Ford and or Rachel in the first movie was programmed to love him. So it almost makes it seem like everything was preordained, that Rachel was going to get with Harrison Ford and have babies. I don't really buy into that theory.
I don't either, especially since I don't think that Wallace even met Tyrell, because I think Tyrell dies in the first movie.
Yeah, so it's like, unless Tyrell... Well, I guess what Wallace is trying to say is that Tyrell had that plan all along, because he says in one scene, like, Tyrell's plan made complete, or like Tyrell's vision made complete, like replicants having humans. But I just don't buy that. I don't buy that.
Yeah, I mean, it's up for debate in the film, but
I also don't know why Deckard would be like the ideal candidate for that. I think it works better as just a natural, the two just get together naturally. Like, that's how I want to look at it.
I mean, it's believable that Rachel was made to be able to have children, but the idea that like Deckard was like made to fall in love with her, I don't buy that.
Well, especially if he's not a replicant too, which there's always that speculation. I think there's like one cut of the movie where it's kind of suggestive that he is a replicant, and I also, in the book especially, it's really suggestive of that, but I don't think anything based on the final cut of the movie and then this movie suggests that he's a replicant. So yeah,
I don't think so either.
So I don't buy into that theory. So yeah, I just want to put it out there because Wallace does say like, oh, you were preordained or designed to have, you guys were supposed to get together. But I think he was just saying that as a way to get Harrison Ford to kind of fall for his like creation of Rachel, so that he would, go with her. Like,
yeah, I think he was just trying to get in his head with that, because
Yeah.
I didn't buy that either. I mean, it's up for interpretation, but it's not. We aren't given a lot to go on with that, and I also don't know that what we're given. I don't believe, because the first film, there's like a good argument that he is a replicant, a good argument that he isn't, and I feel like in this one, it's not. It's still open ended, but I feel like in this one it leans more towards him not being a replicant.
Yeah, I feel like this movie kind of drives it home more that he isn't. So yeah, like that's that. I guess things we like loved, because I loved a lot about this movie. I mean, obviously everybody's saying it, but the visuals are amazing. It's I thought they were great. I'm guessing you did too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like that the cinematography was amazing. Maybe even more so was the production design, like the sets, the costumes, everything was just like perfect.
Everything was perfect, like down to the smallest detail. Like, and that's production design. Like, I wish we had seen a little more of that, because the city was so cool. I even like that first scene, that big tracking shot where he's flying into Los Angeles, and it's playing that kind of like that like really intense, like that dread-inducing score, and you just see down into all the alleyways that are like lit up with those neon lights, but it's like barren from the outside. Like, it's so good. Like, I thought the cinematography was incredible. Yeah, that was great. I thought the performances were all really good. I didn't really have a weak point there.
Yeah,
I wasn't crazy. I wasn't crazy about Jared Leto. I thought he was interesting. Like, I was never bored when he was on screen, but out of all the performances, I feel like everybody else is so natural. He just felt too cartoony to me. Like, it felt like a really actory performance. Like, even down to like the fact that he has the weird eyes, he looks weird.
Oh yeah, he's like blind or whatever, right?
Yeah, he has like a really put on kind of voice where he's like over enunciates everything, Mr. Deckard. Like, it just,
I mean, he's only in like 3 scenes.
Yeah, so he's not in it too much, and I thought his scenes were pretty interesting. So I wouldn't necessarily say it was a detractor for me, but I wasn't, out of all the performances, I think I was least crazy about his. I loved Gosling. I thought he was great. I thought Harrison Ford was good.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he was what I expected from him. He was good.
Yeah, like he was
He
solid.
definitely gave a unique performance in that film out of everybody.
Yeah, he did. I wasn't like, yeah, he was good. I thought Love was really good. That actress, I thought, did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely.
She was just like, even just down to her physicality, like the way she walked was like unsettling. Like, you just never knew like how she was going to kill somebody either. I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know how this poor bastard.
When she killed the dude in the morgue, like, you knew she was going to do something. You were just waiting for it.
Yeah, and it's like unsettling, because I'm like, I don't know what she's going to do. Clearly she like kills in interesting ways. So like, I was just, I thought she did a great job. Even like the way she delivered her lines, I thought was excellent. I thought there was some depth to her character too, by like, clearly she wanted to live more than just a servant's lifestyle. Like, she was crying basically when she saw her fellow android get killed, and she clearly wanted to get to know Ryan Gosling. So it's almost like her character was constantly struggling with trying to break out of the mold of just being a servant, but she was also just kind of like the ultimate badass assassin type person too. So
yeah, I feel like the relationships between all the replicants in this film worked really well, because it was like they all had like a unique thing between them, but it also was like they still had to be, who they were.
Yeah.
Who
else is?
Yeah, we liked it a lot. We talked a lot about how much we didn't like it, but we really loved it. I mean, the visuals.
It's like, it's one of those movies for me that I have a lot of problems with, but I still feel that the highs are a lot higher than the lows. Like, I most of my issues are not like, major issues. It's just a lot of different things like bugged me about it that I wasn't necessarily expecting. And I think my only personal biggest issue is just, again, how plot driven it is. I wish that it had been more, especially if it's going to be this long. To me, I wish that one of two things had either happened. I wish that if it's going to have this length, make it more open-ended, like less focused on the plot, show me more of the world. Or if you want it to be shorter, just, slice it down. Like, I think like 30, 40 minutes could have been taken out of it and leave it as a more procedural, plot-driven movie, but just cut some of this stuff out. Like, it didn't need to be that long.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the pacing worked well for like the first maybe less than half of the film, but after that, really, it did not need to be as long as it was, and it was a little frustrating.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought the score was really good. I didn't like it as much as the first one, because I just remember thinking, like, when that Blade Runner theme the original Blade Runner theme plays at the very end, I was like, damn, like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's from the first one. Like, I thought the score was, like, good throughout, but there was nothing, like,
it didn't jump out at me. I expected it to really jump out at me, and it did not. It was just
plus
good.
There was just that same, like, that Hans Zimmer, like, burn, like that same, like, bass kind of noise that I feel like is in so many movies these days. And it was good. I thought the one that was, like, that one that was, like, a little bit, the Dread one that kind of, like, amped up, it was like, and, like, had that weird synthy whine to it. I thought that was cooler. But, yeah, I like the score. I just feel like it didn't stand out nearly as much as the first one. And what did you think of this one compared to the first one?
I definitely think I like the first one better after thinking about it for a while.
I did too. I wasn't sure when, like, I first walked out of this one. I was like, like, I don't know. But I just feel like the first movie was just like a more focused vision. Like, I feel like it was a lot shorter. I feel like it maintained the same tone all throughout. I feel like the mood that was created was totally consistent throughout. To me, there's nothing in this movie that can touch the tears in the rain scene from the first one.
Yeah, absolutely not.
I think the score was better. I definitely like the first one better, but and I also think the first one is easier to rewatch. Like, that's another thing I was thinking as I watched this a second time. Like, I'm sure I'll rewatch this movie plenty of times in my life, but I don't have any, like, itching desire to rewatch it. Like, because it is so plot driven that I would recommend seeing this movie twice, because the second time a lot of the plot stuff is, like, ironed out, or at least it was for me. But after that second viewing, I'm just kind of like, I don't know when I need to watch this again, or at least not, like, in its entirety. Like, if it was on TV or something, I would love to, like, put it on the background and, like, watch certain scenes, but I don't have that, like, strong desire to watch the whole thing again from beginning to end, whereas the first one, like, I do. Because I feel like it just has such a consistent tone, it has such a consistent pace, like, I think it's just a better movie, personally.
Yeah, I think inconsistent is a good word for this film, because, like we both said, we liked it a lot, and then it was like, all right, I still like it, but I like it less.
Yeah.
And then for me, I just feel like I was ready for it to end by the end, just because I feel like it was like, all right, it's played out at this point.
Yeah, I agree. So, I don't know. I feel like we really dissected that thing. Anything else you want to get into about it?
I mean, I think we covered everything. Basically, all my problems with it were, the idea that this child would not be the tipping point for, like, a revolution. Oh, also, well, I guess we can talk about this after. The whole idea, I actually really felt watching it that they were setting up for a third movie, and it turns out that they were planning on making a third if this did well, which it's not doing well. So it's
probably. See, we can get into that. Like, this movie is not doing very well at the box office, and that's, like, a big, question mark. But so why do you think that is?
It's long, for one. They can't even do that many showings a day because it's so long.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say this is, it's not really a mainstream movie. Like, it's not a movie. I don't think an average person going to the movies would necessarily have a great time with this. I mean, it's certainly not action-packed. It's not necessarily easy to get. It's slow. It's very, like, I don't think this is, like, a quintessential, like, an action-packed movie that a lot of mainstream audiences would like. I mean, I feel like
there really was very little action in this, like, less than I expected. I mean,
which is sad.
Scenes.
Which is sad, because I loved it, and I appreciate the fact that it's, bold and that it does things differently, and, like, I like that about it. Like, I wish that this kind of movie was more accepted by wide audiences, but I can't say I'm, like, surprised that it's not making a ton of money, because it's not really to me, like, a mainstream movie. Like, I don't think most people, when they go to the movies, they have a movie like this in mind. Like, so I'm not personally that shocked that it's not doing well at the box office. I think it's sad, but I just hope they keep making movies like this with big budgets that are challenging.
Yeah, I mean, this had a big budget. I'm kind of surprised. I mean, this was made for a very specific audience, And, thinking about it, I was like, I actually didn't expect it's obviously a very big budget film, but I was like, I didn't expect the budget to be so big because I didn't think they would put so much money up for something that's clearly made for science fiction fans, movie buffs, and then Blade Runner fans. And really, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's who it was made for. And like, it makes me sad that they'll, hopefully this movie doesn't like deter them from making these in the future, or movies like it, because I like that, bold releases like this are being given big budgets, but it kind of makes me worried about the future of movies. Like, are they just going to gear more towards like the Marvel franchises and things like that they know are going to make a ton of money? Like, and it's concerning, but I can't.
Every time a big budget science fiction movie fails, it's like it makes them wary about doing another one.
Yeah, but I don't know. I would have been wary of it even before I made it. I mean, I would have been like, I think you have to look at this movie and say, hey, if we can make a lot of money back on it, great, but this is going to be a challenging movie that it's not going to be for everybody. And I feel like you could realize that before you release it. I feel like watching this movie in, post-production, I would kind of be like, okay, this is not a movie that's going to be, super entertaining to like an average person who goes to the movies once a month to catch like, the newest action movie or like comedy or something. Like, it's something that's a lot more challenging than that. And
I have a feeling that partially the reason that this got made is because they put together like such a good team working on it. Like, Denis Villeneuve, I feel like he hasn't made a single bad movie yet.
No, he really hasn't.
He's really had a string of hits. They put, Ryan Gosling, the cast was very talented. It wasn't like a ton of A-listers in it, but it was like, I feel like all the elements that went into making this film were really talented. So maybe that's why they were willing to take a risk, because they had a really good team working on it.
Yeah. And again, for all the nitpicks I had for it, I think it was totally a worthy risk. And I loved a lot about it. I feel like I appreciate this movie even more than I like it, if that makes sense. Like, I appreciate
I'm glad
that
it was made.
I'm really glad it was made, even though it's not, one of my top 10 all-time favorite movies like I thought it was going to be. So we'll see. I just hope they keep making movies like this. But all right, want to do our ratings?
Yeah. So what are you going to give this one?
I'm going to give it, and I'm going to go 8.5 out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
Which is still pretty high.
I think I'm going to go 9 out of 10, actually.
Yeah. This is also a movie that I was torn by my rating, because, like, I know that it makes me think about, like, what are the logistics of comparing movies, my past ratings with my current ratings, or like how does that compare? Because the movie I was thinking of when I decided to rate this movie was Baby Driver. I know I gave that an 8.8 out of 10. I appreciate this movie more than Baby Driver, but I don't feel like I can give this a 9 out of 10. I don't know what that says about just ratings in general. I think I had more fun with Baby Driver.
It's just a different scale, because it's this is a way more epic in scope film.
See, that's exactly how I was looking at it myself. Like, I feel like you have to grade certain movies on a different scale. Like, if I had to look at a movie that I would want like preserved, I would definitely pick Blade Runner over Baby Driver. But I think I had a little bit more fun and was more entertained and just had a general good time with Baby Driver, and I stand by my 8.8 out of 10 on that movie, but I feel like I appreciate this movie more. So it's like, I just remember I was specifically torn between that, because then I was like, let me just give Blade Runner a 9 out of 10. And I was just like, I don't know if I can do that, because I just had too many problems with it. But
I mean, I think it's also about ambition. Like, Baby Driver was like, like I said, it was small in scope. It set out to do one thing and it did it very well. This was a very ambitious, epic in scope film that didn't accomplish everything it set out to do, but it tried to do a lot more things.
That's true. All right, cool. That's exactly how I look at it. So that is why I gave those ratings. So, all right, I think I'm about spent. So
yeah, I mean,
should we call this thing? Yeah,
we need to say.
We definitely did. So go see it. Go see Blade Runner 2049. It's definitely a movie that's worth seeing in theaters. I'll say that. So. Alrighty, guys. Obviously, follow us on all our social media. Twitter, Serious_Critics, and look us up on Facebook, The Serious Film Critics. And what else do we have? That's all the important stuff. Just follow us and send us emails at the seriousfilmcritics@gmail.com. We'll answer your questions. And until next time, guys, we will see you later.